Joining us to discuss this further is Qorvis Communications partner Stan Collender. And Stan, okay, Mike, I think laid it out really well as to what to expect in the new fiscal budget year. However, anything could change this. I mean, I know Mike said that, you know, the economy is really a big factor.
Right. Well, first of all, I think we're looking at a deficit for the year that just began, 2011, probably about $1 trillion. Now, that's a huge amount of money, but it'd still be the biggest one-year reduction from 2010 to 2011 that we've probably had in American history, because in most years the deficit wasn't that high to begin with. The problem is not short-term. Yes, the deficit is high now, but it needs to be because, as Mike suggested, the economy's been in the tank and the government's had to provide stimulus when businesses and consumers weren't.
Right.
The problem is long-term, and my concern is, given what the election results look like they're going to be, we could have stalemate for 2 years. There'll be no progress on this.
No progress, meaning we're not going to move very much on taxes. We're not going to move very much on spending in order to balance that budget, is what you're saying, right?
Well, let's not even use the word balance. Let's just talk about making more progress on the deficit. It's hard for me to see how there's going to be an agreement, a deal on anything over the next couple of years.
Okay, then given that, where are those bond vigilantes that, you know, Stan, that we'd heard, you know, that were there in the 90s? You know, where are they? Because if that's such a big problem, I haven't seen it so far in the markets.
Well, that's exactly right. Well, I've been arguing for months now that the bond vigilantes have turned into deficit cheerleaders. If anything, they're encouraging the government and the Fed to do more to stoke up the economy. And as some of the numbers that you reported about an hour or so ago indicated, there's no sign of inflation anywhere. There's no sign of any concern about it. And if you watch the auctions this week, the bond market vigilantes have either all gone to the Bahamas and aren't playing, or they've all changed their tune and saying we're not worried about these deficits.
Yeah, it's hard to believe. But Stan, let me just, before I leave you though, I do, you know, when is it possible that we can actually balance this budget again? I mean, do you have a projection for that?
How old are you? You know,
don't even ask that.
Yeah, no, it's going to be a while. I mean, look, we don't actually, for economic reasons, have to get to balance. We just have to get the deficit down to a level where, you know, it's more in line with economic growth.
But, okay, but that sounds like you're telling me it's probably impossible. Seems impossible.
Not impossible, but not going to happen. I don't care who gets elected. I don't care which party is in control. You're talking about a decade or more before something like that can actually happen.
Okay. Stan, thanks so much. Always great having you on. Appreciate it. Stan Collender talking about the budget deficit.